Hmm. Hello, man. Hello, MGTOWs. Let me go over see if I'm getting any sound here. And it doesn't seem like I'm getting any sound here. Am I getting sound? Oh, okay. Let me turn up my. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hello, guys. Sound? Yeah, I had my speakers down. Wow, that's great. Kind of freaked me out there for a second because it usually goes pretty good now. Hello, men. Hello, MGTOWs. Go your own way. Go your own way. All your Simpsons from the past are forgiven. And here, you're all clean. Okay. Now that we got that over with, I was going to talk about hate speech and MGTOW. And lately, you've noticed that a lot of the detractors from MGTOW have just kind of went away. And I was looking at one of them today, and he was wondering why his channel was getting flagged and why his channel was getting taken down. And it's because MGTOW falls under the definition of a gender. And if any MGTOW men going their own way, there refers to a group of men, an org, a group of men. That's why I've always been saying we are an organization, we are a group. MGTOW there refers to that group. And whether you like that or not, it doesn't really matter because that's the truth. And it gives us an advantage. And I say, don't shoot yourself in the foot sometimes. For the last 3 or 4 years, 5, 6 years, 7, 8 years, maybe, we've been complaining about these special snowflakes, complaining about their wanting to have hate speech taken down. But if you've noticed lately, MGTOW has become a protected group under that hate speech policy that everybody hates so much. And there's for certain reasons for this. The reasons are pretty clear. Let me explain this to you. Even if you don't like the terms hate speech and you don't like what they do with it, we fall under every MGTOW falls under every definition of that group or gender. Starting, if someone tags themselves Anti Mgtow, what are they really saying? MGTOW is men going their own way. Men as a gender, it refers to a gender determiner. There is a gender determiner. It's a determiner, so it refers to men, a group or an org, or just a bunch of people. If you look it up, look under determiner, a gender determiner there. And if you're an anti that group or a gender, it's hate speech. Any questions there? That's just the way it is. And I wrote a letter to Mrs. Wasiski about this. I wrote her several emails about this maybe a year ago. And I outlined that what they had taken me down for is kind of absurd when people were coming to me as with hate speech. And they didn't quite understand. So I had my last 2 strikes removed, and it's pretty much explaining what MGTOW was, because they had no idea what MGTOW was. Now, let me see if I can put this up so you can, let me see if I can find my screenshot. Oh yeah, there it is. I don't know if this works. I've never used it before. Yeah, let me just click on that and share, and you'll get Affinity screen. And then when I go to this area, this is Renell Rains, and I'm hoping that you can see that. Let me see. Renell Red is he's talking about getting his videos taken down, but the first thing he says is Anti Mgtow, and he puts it in parentheses, and he thinks that that's going to save him. That's not going to save him, because the bots are going to pick it up. My thought, and he says, "Oh, I'm doing it all out of love and careness." I don't. Yeah, well, that's a love hate. That's traditionalism. That's that love hate relationship that he must have with us. And he's put Anti Mgtow. He doesn't wonder why that qualifies as. He doesn't wonder what he wonders why. He doesn't know why that qualifies as hate speech. So if you read the definition of hate speech, when someone comes around MGTOW and they start doing those things, I wonder what I was going to look into. I'm going to put up a green screen in the back. StreamYard has new green screen capabilities now, and it's inside the program. So if you're going to buy StreamYard like I use now, they now have green screen capabilities, and it's going to make it really cool. I wish they had white screen. I was hoping on white screen, but they don't have white screen capabilities. So they're going to go with green screen, and I'll buy a green screen. That'll make things a lot better. But that's here nor there. I was just going to announce that today. Hello, Wookie. Hello, Thread. Hello, everybody that's coming in or came in today. And I just wanted to talk about hate speech and MGTOW too. So now, the way the rules seem to play out in YouTube is if someone comes to us and they say they're definitely anti-MGTOW, and they say these MGTOW men are this, and they say they are this and they are this, that qualifies under hate speech. And like I said, that was a benefit that we got. Sometimes they say don't shoot yourself in the foot, and I've been trying to explain this for years that to these guys. These special snowflakes, they want these hate speech rules. And well, that could work out in MGTOW's favor. And for years now, if you look back, and you don't hear it much anymore, people saying, "Oh, MGTOW is not it's not a group and it's not an organization. It's just a philosophy." And I would say, no, MGTOW is a group and an organization designed simply by its name. There is a determiner that determines men, and men, and there is an organization or a group, and that's the reality of it in linguistics. And so MGTOW is under that shield now. You'll notice a lot of them have gone away, and a lot of their videos are getting taken down. If they say, anti-men, if they're anti-men, their videos will get, because that is hate speech, because under the same laws, men is a gender. And a lot of these guys won't like it, but that's okay. You don't have to like something for something to be true. You can have that conservative bias and not like it and scream all day about it, but this is the world we live in. This is the postmodern world we live in, and we have to start understanding these things. And if MGTOW is going to play these games and do the gender dynamics thing, we have to learn the game. And I always thought that MGTOW was far behind. We haven't reached, as an organization, we haven't reached the pentacle of trying to get our philosophy straight and everything, and what we actually are. And that will take years and years and years to do. And that's it. We can look at these things and include ourselves in the laws of our nations, but most of the time, if you're going to exclude yourself from those things, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and you're not going to get the same benefits as those of those Wookiee. If we want the same benefits, we don't want people coming over to MGTOW and screaming, "I hate you, MGTOWs, I hate you," blah 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 blah. They hate us. They do, and that's a horrible thing, because that's hating a group. There's this thing called the Ku Klux Klan, and they hate a group of people. And we can see how that's a horrible thing. And we can there's that fly again. He finds me in here every time. And we can't do the same thing. We can't be running around saying, "Hey, I hate these, blah, blah, blah," or we have to lighten our language and follow the rules so we can be around here. And that's a really good thing. But we can benefit from the rules too. And we've seen that lately. I think it's a really good thing, and that was it. I wanted to follow up and do a couple subjects today about, my last, my last my last video was where was it at? Okay, let me do that. And I had some questions about none of your business, and I don't have to do this, and the ways I explain these things and everything. And I think it's something good for MGTOW to realize. There's a certain hypocrisy in these things, and when you're looking at is within the men's group, within being a MGTOW, and how MGTOW men are labeled. The guys that are following the MGTOW principles, and they don't talk about certain things, and they don't talk about they just don't share that things with their, they get called a monk. They essentially, what the purple pill guys are doing is they're shaming us with calling us a monk. Monk has religious connotations to it, and the purple pills are guys, and I watched that video and they used it, and every time they would say the word them guys or theirs, and then Gemma would jump up and go, especially those monks. And that's a shaming word. And it's because he got all braggadocious about one of his exploits with a female, and he wanted to brag all over lines. And then one of the monks picked it up and said, you're just a baby. You're acting like a baby with this. And pretty much he was acting like a baby. And but in the world, and we might, this is another example of in the world, which we have these rules of no means no, and yes means yes, and respect everybody's rights. MGTOW can actually benefit from this. The monks can, the aesthetic men or chaste men, or men that don't talk about these things, are men what I'll just call stoic men. The stoic men that simply refuse to talk about those things. They get shamed as being ultra monkish, and that's a shaming language. And that's another thing that we have to start taking a look at. It plays out where that's just a label, and it's a religious label, and we get in a world of no means no. What that's saying is I can't say no. And I've experienced this in life. I've experienced this in life with females while I was dating in my mid 17, 18-ishes and everything. And there was a couple of women that wanted to go to the prom with me or date me and everything. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that with you. But that's not what I am. I was saying, I didn't know that's what I was saying then. I just wouldn't do it. And that's not what I do. And they got quite mad, like I wasn't allowed to turn them down. Now, when you look at Gemma and you look at that's what he's saying. He's saying you have to talk about it. You have to not turn the girls down. You have to play this game. And in a world of no means no, that's sexual discrimination against MGTOWs. And I just want to get that out there to the world, that is sexual discrimination. And no does mean no. And I have the right to turn down whoever I want. I don't have to. Camus, I was talking about Camus, when Camus turned down Simone de Beauvoir, whatever her name is. And her boyfriend, which was Sartre at the time, Sartre, at the time, a great philosopher, a Marxist philosopher, but so he wasn't very well understood, got mad at Camus for turning her down. He said, that's not what I am. But you men, as MGTOWs, as men above reproach, as men with better quality and character, refuse to talk about these things. We're forced by the other side of MGTOW, the purple pill guys and the blue pill guys that come in here. First, they discriminate against us, and they target us with hate speech, and then after that they shame us, and then and YouTube is starting to pick up on these little inflections that they do. They shame us and they target us with hate speech, and there's what they're really saying, what's that's really saying. If you think about the whole actions and what you've seen, and the last week's argument between Jenna and the MGTOW monk, whatever, Hammerhand, Gemma was saying, you're not allowed to say that you are going to turn that down. You have to talk about it. You have to. No doesn't mean no for men. And that's against all of our laws. So sometimes don't shoot. We have to learn as MGTOWs, don't shoot yourself in the foot. That's how we have to project these things to people. That's how we have to tell people about what we are and what we do here. If I don't want to talk about it, if I don't want to engage in that thing, I don't have to. And if they try to force us to do that, that's sexual discrimination. That's hate speech. And we can use the same laws because we do qualify under an organization. Now it's in probably somewhere in the bots identify it now. I don't know how the bots identify it. They have a million different algorithms that run and they identify it. But if somebody comes at us and puts Anti Mgtow in there and they identify that, that's hate speech against Mgtow. That's hate speech against men, and men is a gender. And we too can play that card. If I know a lot of people for years and years and years were like, oh, these social justice warriors, and they're no. Listen to what they're saying. It makes sense. We don't discriminate against whole groups. It's like that KKK thing. They discriminate against it. It's like the border thing. They discriminate against all of our Hispanic brothers, and it's just awful. It's a horrible thing. And once you come into the real world and the modern world, most people should understand that. But there will be a point where most people will understand that you can be a MGTOW and not get discriminated against. For the last 10 years, 12 years, 14, 15, 20 years ago, I've taken some of the worst comments in the world. They're telling me I can't say no. I'm not allowed to do that. I have to share my exploits with the world. You're not allowed to do that, Joe. That's hate speech. That's discrimination. And we have to use that the same way they would. And we can't let ourselves for some alt-right reason, the special Libby thing or whatever they say. That covers us too. That covers us, and it alleviates that. It alleviates that hate that comes towards us, and we can see it. And most of the Anti Mgtow people have been taken down now, and you probably noticed that. It's a hard lesson. Yes, it is. It's a hard lesson to learn that you fall under human being as a man too. You're a human being. And you should demand all the rights that a human being demands. And that's the problem with a lot of that traditionalism, a lot of that conservatism. When confronted with these things, we still bias ourselves. And we say, oh, I'm not like one of those SJWs. And we give them names and we make up dragons in our head. To protect, we think we're protecting ourselves, but we're really not protecting ourselves. We're making it worse on ourselves. We have to go with this thing and consider yourself a group, consider yourself an organization, consider yourself a human being worthy of not having to hear hate speech towards you every day. Because men like me that have been around forever in MGTOW, we endured that hate speech for all of you. Until someone started recognizing that was hate speech. I've had some of the most horrible. I've had my account taken down 3 times. I've had this account 3 or 4 times every 2 years for the last I don't know how many years. I'm down for 3 months. Every year for how many I'm down for, but I think YouTube is starting to understand what MGTOW is, and we have to, write the letters and send the emails to Susan Wazinski, lovely woman, and just let her know that we are a group, we are an org too, and we fall under all those headings. And when someone comes at us and does that same thing they say we were doing back then, which it was sort of a reverse racism. I don't know if you're familiar with the reverse racism of it's like it gives them permission to be racist against us. It gives them permission to be biased against us, and that's what they took for years. And we see this in the human evolution of gender dynamics, and we see it in racism thing, and we're starting to understand it as human, the ethnicity of things, and the what's the word I'm looking for? I've been searching for it for the last 2 days, and how things work within the human brain, and it's a hard lesson to learn, and it comes on, and you need to stick around MGTOW for a long time, because most men come in here and they're really beat up by this stuff. They're really beat up by the shame. They're really beat up by the it's a constant world of shame in men. You're not allowed to say no. You have to with that, or else all the guys, if you get an offer at a bar from some girl you don't find attractive, you're going to have to, or else the guys are going to shame you. They're going to say, oh, you're gay, you're this, you're that. But you don't have to. That's what Camus teaches us, that he says, I don't have to do that. If I don't want to, I'm a human being. If I don't want to, I don't have to. And that's what MGTOWs are saying. Now, when Sandman labeled the MGTOW monks, he didn't even see what an awful, horrible bigot he was. And that was such an anti-MGTOW thing. It was almost shameful on his part to, first of all, he was giving guys that just are saying, hey, I don't do that with every girl that walks by. He was labeling those guys with a religious connotation, even though we're not religious. I'm an atheist. Even though I'm not really, he labeled me with a religious connotation for being a better person than he was. And I still dislike him to this day for doing that, and not being able to see the difference in what he was doing. You have every right to say no as a man. You don't have to do that girl. You don't have to be with her if you don't want to be with her. You don't have to do that. You don't have to get married if you don't want to get married. And men have never had those choices. It's always been, you got to marry a girl. You got to take care of her. No, you don't have to anymore. Consider yourself, from this point on, MGTOW, go your own way and consider yourself a human. And that's a pretty good feeling, considering yourself a human. You deserve all the rights, every right out there as a human being that they're giving out. You deserve it too. And you don't have less rights because you're a man. And that's what I wanted to explain about that. Every time you hear one of these idiots, they go on and, you MGTOW monks are this, you MGTOW monks, No, what they're doing is they're projecting their biases. They're projecting their bigotry, their hatred, their hate speech towards you. And it is hate speech. And the anti-MGTOWs, when they were coming around for years and years and years and saying those horrible things to us, and even today, those purple pill guys, even today, those purple pill guys they come around and they start saying horrible things like, Joe, you can't say no. Do you know how horrible that is? You have to. There's peer pressure in men that you have to do that, and you have to share it with us, and then you have to listen to my stories. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't have to participate in immature actions of boys. And I have a choice in life, who I want to be with. I've always said, you've always heard me say, I'll pick my own friends. That's what I was talking about. I'll pick my own friends. That means female friends or male friends. I'll pick my own friends because I'm human, because I deserve that right. And finally, in 2020 on YouTube, 16 years after they finally stopped. They're finally getting it where they should stop shaming us, because it's bigotry, and it's hatred, and it's hate speech. And there's no special reduction of humanism by being a man. You're equal. Act like you're equal. Act like you're equal. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. For years that was always bothered me that they call these special snowflakes and they want these rights of the not have to take hate speech. Well, we get those rights too now. What's good for them is good for us, and what's good for us is good for them, and it's equality, and it's a good thing. And I don't never want it. And today with that Renault Red, whatever it is, he clearly doesn't understand what hate speech is because he put Anti Mgtow in his title, and I'm gonna flag it because it's hate speech, and it is hate speech. And I hope that most MGTOWs know that. And I know there'll be a bunch of those, oh, MGTOWs, you ain't in a group or an organization. Yes, you are. Strictly by linguistics. You're linguistics. You're an organization. Look it up. Do your work. Men going their own way. Look up the word there and then look up the word men and see what it is. My Lord. It only took MGTOW screaming for 20 years before they start realizing, yes, we're a group of men, and we deserve every right that any other human being deserves. And maybe they'll get it, and they'll actually put it in place, and where it's most important. It's most important in our laws, where men can stop being treated as slaves because we're human. Men can stop being treated as money machines, ATMs, because we're human. And women will have agency, and she has her choice. No means no. She doesn't have to have children. She doesn't have to spread her legs. But if she chooses to, that's her responsibility and her agency and her choice with whatever dude she wants to do. Whatever dude she wants, but she just can't be with him anymore. She just can't expect anything from him in that slavery sense, which is the traditional sense. And that's the world we look forward. That's the utopian MGTOW world that we look forward to. Don't expect from us those things anymore, which you shouldn't expect from us. Those agreements, they no longer exist under their own rules. Under their own rules, they don't exist anymore. Too bad our Congress, too bad our senators, too bad our lawyers and judges seem to be 20 years behind the rest of the world. They haven't even entered postmodernism in their puny little brains yet, because they want to suck the last dollar out of this divorce court industry. And it's disgusting. It is. And we have to start shaming lawyers about that. We have to start shaming judges about that. Tell them that, no, you're busting our constitutional rights, and we men are human. We men are human, and you don't have a right to do that. So in the big picture of this whole gender dynamics thing that's working out, like I said, don't shoot yourself in the foot and accept the gifts that are given to you. And this is a major victory for MGTOW. If they're taking down the anti-MGTOW, videos, that tells you something. That tells you that they consider us a group, an org. That means they consider us a gender worth protection. And if they violate those hate speech laws to MGTOW, they will get taken down. And that makes my life easier, because I get minimal comments now, because I get none of that garbage comes through anymore. The YouTube algorithms, they immediately catch it. And I don't want to have to take that anymore. I don't think I have to. I gave that for so long. I took all them insults, and I took all those for 20 years here now. And they all start out the same way. You're not allowed to be a MGTOW. You must be that GHAHA. Why you're less of a man. That's what they were telling me. I said, come visit me and see how less of a man I am. Come see me. And I had to take all that abusive language, that abusive hate speech for 16, 17 years around this place. Finally, they get it. Accept that gift from YouTube. That's a good thing. And always expect it now. And when anybody comes around MGTOW, you use that flag system and you simply explain that's hate speech. What violates it? It violates gender and group. And that's just the truth. And I know a lot of these guys don't want to come in. The traditional lights and the conservatives, they don't want to come in to the postmodern world. I was watching a preacher the other day just complain about postmodernism, and he hated it. And his assumption was, under this umbrella that we call postmodern, there's something magical above it called Christianity. And that was his whole thing. It's like, what a jackwad. What a jackwad. Those guys are dangerous. They believe in they have special invisible friends that they can talk to, and they believe in traditionalism and conservatism, and that's a bias. And they won't come into the new world where young people think different and smarter people think different. They want to stay back in that old world where they're clubbing each over the heads with like clubbing seals and having wars because they still think that's okay. Come into the new world. It's a better place, and you can expect to be treated like a human. And MGTOWs, you deserve it, man. You sure deserve it. You've taken it on the chin for the last 20 years at MGTOWs, and you deserve a break, and you deserve not to get called names, and you deserve not to have people sully the group that you're in. Just use that right now, and use it for good. That's all I ever say. Be a man above reproach. Do good things. Be a good person. Be a good MGTOW, and people will understand what you are then. Now, I know there's a certain portion out there that still does the hate speech and the anti, the anti other gender groups. And those boys got to grow up because they're sullying our name. They're sullying your name. And your name is MGTOW. It's what you are. And that's all I got to say today, man. Thanks for coming around. I'm trying to keep these a little shorter. I don't know, because I get headaches now. I have to go see a neurologist for my headaches, and I get short now, and I just that's it. And I just get short, and I'm sorry I can't do these long ones or do many videos anymore because they hurt my head, and I get short, and I get mean when I get short. So thanks a lot for showing up, man, and thanks a lot for being MGTOW. And it's up to each and one of you guys to be MGTOW and carry this thing and carry the rights of all males on your back, even though they don't want them. They'll go kicking and screaming, and they'll try to crawl their way back to that tradcon nation that in the Matrix, which they made up in their head, that final fictionalism that they made up in their head. They don't want to come out of there, and it's gonna take them kicking and screaming until they come into the new world. And it'll take MGTOWs, and it'll take good MGTOWs and men that are compassionate and understanding and can describe and articulate these things to them. But them Cro-Magnon men, they don't want to come. I can't see why. It's a better world. It's a better place to live in. MGTOW's a gosh darn good place to live in. And that's all I got to say. So thanks for coming around. And most of all, thanks for being MGTOW. MGTOW.